Here are 20 player notes that emphasize fantasy football sleepers for 2024. Number 1, Jackson Smith-Njigba finished with the 9th most slot snaps, number 21 in yards per catch, and number 28 in total route wins as a rookie. Mike Williams averaged 8.67 targets, 6.33 receptions, 83 receiving yards, and 16.73 fantasy points in his 3 healthy games for the Chargers last season. He's now with the Jets. Wan'Dale Robinson was a top 24 wide receiver weeks 6, 9, 14, and 17 in 2023, and that was after tearing his ACL in 2022. Jameson Williams finished number 5 in average depth of target, number 35 in yards per target, and number 28 in yards per reception last year. James Conner averaged 20.8 rushing attempts, 102.8 rushing yards, 4.92 yards per attempt, 2.6 receptions, 25.8 receiving yards, and 23.86 fantasy points across his final 5 games last year. Deontay Johnson has finished number 12 in 2023, number 1 in 2022, and number 4 in 2021 in ESPN's Open Score, which assesses the likelihood a receiver would be able to complete a catch, conditional on if he was targeted. Jerry Jeudy finished number 12 in deep targets, number 22 in receiving yards, number 16 in yards after the catch, number 16 in yards per route run, number 9 in yards per target, number 20 in yards per reception, and number 19 in fantasy points per game back in 2022. He's now tied to Deshaun Watson. DeAndre Swift finished number 15 in evaded tackles and number 11 in breakaway runs in 2023, number 4 in yards created in 2021, number 2 in yards per touch, and number 8 in true yards per carry back in 2022. He has a 62 reception season under his belt, and he rushed for a career-high yardage in 2023. Javonte Williams, as a rookie in 2021, finished with 4 weeks as a top 10 fantasy running back, 3 weeks over 20 fantasy points. Player Profiler ranked him 6th in evaded tackles and 6th in yards created that year. Brian Thomas Jr. led the FBS with 17 receiving touchdowns in 2023. He's now with the Jaguars after Calvin Ridley departed, who finished number 3 in red zone targets for wide receivers with 25 last year. Josh Palmer finished 2023 number 18 in yards per target, number 18 in yards per reception. He finished 3 weeks as a top 12 fantasy wide receiver. Jalen Polk finished with 1,159 receiving yards in his final college season. He drew second-round draft capital from the Patriots, and he steps into a wide receiver room that was led by a 6th-round rookie last year. Cade Otton in the Tampa Bay 2 playoff games last year, a.k.a. the 2 most important games for the Buccaneers, finished with 19 targets, which was tied for number 1 for Tampa Bay, 13 receptions, which was number 1 for the Buccaneers, 154 receiving yards, which was number 2 for the Buccaneers, and he scored a touchdown. Greg Dulcich, through 10 games as a rookie, finished number 3 in average depth of target, number 3 in deep targets, number 11 in air yards, number 9 in yards per reception, and was a top 12 fantasy tight end in 50% of his games played. Tyjae Spears played 52.9% of the snaps as a rookie last year and finished number 6 in yards per touch, number 23 in evaded tackles, number 27 in breakaway runs, number 9 in receptions, and number 11 in receiving yards, despite Derrick Henry, who's now a Raven, playing in 17 games. Pat Freiermuth in 2022 finished number 5 in targets, number 3 in deep targets, number 6 in receptions, number 6 in receiving yards, and number 9 in yards after the catch. As a rookie back in 2021, he scored 7 touchdowns. Deshaun Watson has finished as a top 5 fantasy quarterback in all 3 of his full seasons played. Number 5 back in 2020, number 2 in 2019, and number 5 in 2018 in points per game. Bryce Young finished number 12 in passing attempts last year as a rookie. He's had offseason upgrades in coaching, offensive line, and pass catchers. He finishes the quarterback 9 twice last year. Jahan Dotson played above 75% of the snaps in 7 games back in 2022 as a rookie and finishes a top 20 fantasy wide receiver in 5 of those games. Jaden Daniels was just selected number 2 in this year's draft by Washington. Rashid Shaheed finished number 15 in deep targets, number 17 in yards per target, number 15 in yards per reception, and finished 3 weeks as a top 12 fantasy wide receiver last year as a sophomore. Follow for more fantasy football content.